Two of the most undervalued brands out there, in my opinion, not including independent watchmakers, Glasuta and JLC. The level of quality in their watches, the finishing in their movements, their dials, everything about their watches is just absolutely insane for the price point. Which is why I'm really excited to share with you guys today the Glasuta Panomanic Lunar. In my opinion, this watch is absolutely insane for the price point. When I first handled Glasuta, every single time I see a watch from them, I just get more and more impressed. They never disappoint. The level of quality, their dials are absolutely stunning in the metal. And no matter how much I photograph this watch, it isn't as beautiful as it looks when you have it in hand. But guys, first of all, I wanted to thank ExquisiteTimepieces.com for supplying this watch in for review. Make sure you check out Exquisite Timepieces if you're interested in this watch or any other Glasuta watch, and make sure you let them know that you heard about them from Watch Collecting Strategy, and they'll hook you up over there at Exquisite Timepieces. But guys, my name is AB, I run the Watch Collecting Strategy Productions, and in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the Panomanic Lunar. I'm going to be showing you guys everything that's absolutely amazing about this watch, why this could be a watch I might be personally adding to my watch collection. Of course, I'm going to be giving you guys the negatives about this watch as well, all the full specifications and the full review of this watch. So guys, let's check out the Glasuta Panomanic Lunar. While showcasing this piece, I wanted to talk about a few reasons this could be the perfect first watch for you. There are many contenders at the entry-level luxury price point, and Glasuta is going to have stiff competition from more established brands such as Omega and Rolex. Many will argue that they don't make similar watches. While the likes of Rolex and Omega focus more on sporty watches with robust calibers, Glasuta focuses more on high horology pieces and should be compared with the likes of JLC, for example. But here's the thing, assuming you aren't looking at a Seamaster or a Yachtmaster as your first big luxury purchase, let's say you have your eyes on the more dressy side of the brands. Your eyes fancy the Cellini Moonphase or the DeVille. Well, that's when I step in and showcase to you guys something to heavily consider. Now, before we get hands-on with this piece, let me share with you a few reasons why I would consider a watch from the House of Glasuta when there are others. A few things as a collector myself that I take into consideration before I buy any watch at this price point. Well, let's start off with serviceability. Many lesser known brands are sometimes hard to service, especially when you have a movement as complicated or as finely finished as the Panomanic Lunar. Another thing that worries many is if a brand will stay long enough that you can have the watch serviced by the right hands. Many of you pointed out that Glasuta is owned by the Swatch Group. Some say that in a positive way and some say it in a negative. Now, the negativity towards the acquisition, in my opinion, is unwarranted. And in fact, it's actually a good thing for the brand. Just because the brand has assistants to keep the lights on doesn't mean they change the way they do things. The watches are still based out of the city of Glasuta, still finished to extremely high levels, and the designs are still 100% Glasuta. So only a couple things changed since the acquisition. The first part is your watch will be easy to get at service. Just find the nearest store that carries brands from the Swatch Group, give them your watch, and they'll handle the rest. Now, the next thing is, by having assistance from the Swatch Group, just means that it will be hard for this brand to go out of business, so we are safe there as well, especially when it comes to serviceability, which was the first point. Now, the brand Glasuta is compared with its bigger brother A. Lange & Söhne. But here's the thing, besides the fact that they share sometimes similar designs, and besides the fact that they're both German, the finishing on their cases, their dials, and their movements are outstanding. Almost comparable with one of the greats such as A. Lange & Söhne. Now here's the thing, you get watches at a fraction of the price that is almost as good as Lange, says a lot about the brand. The movements are so finely executed that it seems we're almost taking advantage of the brand at the price points they sell on when it comes to the used market. Some call it a compromise when you get a Glasuta. I would heavily disagree. Lange does in fact make better watches, but it does come at a cost. Glasuta makes high horology pieces at Rolex prices. Honestly, what more could we ask for? Now, what about the Panomanic Lunar? Arguably the icon of the brand. Well, let's start off with the crisp white dial, a dial so exceptionally finished that even under macro I couldn't find a single flaw. The subdials have a vinyl pattern to them similar to old records to give it more contrast with an otherwise pure white canvas. The sub-seconds cut off through the hour and the minute indicator, but in typical German fashion, they make a design so complicated look extremely symmetrical. Now the star of the show is obviously that moon phase. The moon and the stars are so finely polished that it plays with the light better than any other moon phase I've ever seen. Look closer and you'll see what to expect when having this piece outside. I highly recommend not wearing this watch to a board meeting. You won't be able to focus with the boss man, or perhaps you are the boss and you'll distract your fellow employees like fish that see something shiny. Now the one real negative I have with this piece is honestly something extremely personal. I'm not really a big fan of the font of the word Glashütte. I much prefer something closer to Lange's font, for example, but as mentioned, that's just a personal negative, and that's one thing that kind of kept me away from looking at the brand for so long. But after I did, I can honestly surpass that font, but personally I feel like they should go with something a bit more serious like Lange. Now there are many design icons to the Glashütte brand that's iconic, but there's one that's a bit controversial because many kind of associate it with Lange, and of course we're going to be talking about the iconic big date specifically at the 4 o'clock position. If you know anything about Glashütte, you'll know that this is iconic to German design and to the brand. The interesting thing about the date is that it's actually better executed than A. Lange & Söhne's big date function. Glashütte has the date function with both numerals on one plane, whereas Lange has one above the other with a date divider. Should that matter to you? Probably not, but it is executed better, which is something that is really interesting to note. Now this watch isn't your typical dress watch. For me personally, I like the fact that it's slightly thicker at 12.9mm, making the piece more versatile as a casual dress piece. Throw on that rubber strap and it will look great with shorts and a t-shirt, in my opinion of course. Add to that the case size of 40mm with a top to bottom size lug to lug of 47mm, and you have an absolute winner for a daily piece. The case has a mixture of polishing and brushing that adds to the versatility. The more I experience watches, the more I realize I don't like all polished cases. When having a case that is both polished and brushed, it adds a bit of depth and the watch kind of feels like the watchmaker gave it a bit more attention, but that is just my personal opinion. Now I know this watch does lean towards the dressier side, but in my opinion, it is a great casual piece, especially with that asymmetrical dial. Having a moon phase, having that striking white dial, and of course a leather strap would indicate that this is more of a dress watch. But having that 40mm case, 12.7mm thickness basically has this watch on the more casual side. This is for someone of course who isn't going to do sportier things with this watch, but in my opinion it works perfectly as a casual everyday piece, and it will work with a rubber strap. Throw that on and you have a really nice piece regardless what you're wearing. My opinion, that makes this a great everyday watch, and you can always dress it up if you need to. Now what makes the Panamatic Lunar really shine is in fact the part no one gets to see, well, unless you show it to them of course. A movement with gold screw chatons, perfectly blue heated screws polished by hand, gold inlay engravings done by hand, which of course adds that real human touch, and any imperfections you see in the engraving just adds more character to the caliber. Now you also get not just one balanced cock like the Lange 1, but two. A movement so finely finished with hints of black polishing, and of course the Glashütte 3/4 plate with stripe finishing. The caliber 9002 is such a marvel to look at, it almost makes me want to wear this watch upside down. In fact, I don't even think anybody will knock you for wearing this caliber upside down. One of my favorite movements Glashütte has ever produced, and even if you're not a movement nerd, you can just appreciate looking at this beautiful piece of art. When you look at mechanical pieces, you will look at the Glashütte Panamatic Lunar, and even if you're not into watches, you can't help but appreciate the work of art that went into this watch, and for the price point, it's such an amazing piece. But guys, what did you think about the Panamatic Lunar? Do you like it? What don't you like about it? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, check out exquisitettimepieces.com if you're interested in this watch or any other Glashütte. Let them know that you heard about them from this channel and they'll hook you up over there at Exquisite Timepieces. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here today, and I will see you in the next one.